My Take on NLA, October 30, 2019 by Anna von Reitz. One of my readers who has kept track of National Liberty Alliance (NLA) for reasons I don't understand, got in contact with me and told me all about their supposed exposé last Monday night, claiming that everyone associated with me, Anna von Reitz, has ended up in jail. I broke with the Colorado Nine at least 6 weeks prior to their misguided transgressions against the foreign state of Colorado court system. And I made the reasons for the schism very public and very explicit and published them on my website well prior to that whole debacle going down. So, anyone pretending that what happened to the Colorado Nine was my fault is either 1. Totally misinformed, or 2. Purposefully lying. The Colorado Nine were no longer associated with me and no longer acting under my advice when they got into trouble. There is no excuse for anyone including the NLA to say anything otherwise, except to irresponsibly and immorally blackball me out of spite. So, let's have a go back at NLA, which has been in existence, at least by my count, for at least 12 years, and which has accomplished exactly nothing in that time period, aside from sopping up a lot of energy and money and wasting a lot of time. In my opinion, the NLA is designed purposefully, with malice aforethought, to co-opt and bilk money from the patriot movement. Its entire actual reason for existing appears to be to keep people spinning in circles, going nowhere, while wasting as much time and money as possible doing it. Just as NLA has attempted to mislead people by bare-faced lying about my former association with the Colorado Nine and obscuring the actual facts, NLA has been feeding Americans a steady diet of patriot myth instead of conducting any solid research on any subject at all. NLA has produced a large number of common law writs and has addressed them to admiralty and maritime courts that are operating in totally foreign jurisdictions, so that all of NLA's high-sounding writs bounce off these foreign courts like cotton balls lobbed at the back of a tortoise, and for good, known reasons. It's the good, known reasons part that should be a concern to NLA members. I told John Duresh exactly why common law writs don't work against such courts a decade ago, and NLA is still doing the same things the same ways and getting the same results. It should also be of concern to NLA members that their leadership is telling bald-faced lies about me and my attempts to unmask the actual Svengali who did lead the Colorado Nine astray, Michael R. Hamilton. Mr. Hamilton, a federal insurance examiner, fed them all full of patriot myth and marched them off to slaughter. Amazingly, when the actual events occurred, Michael R. Hamilton was nowhere to be found. Think about that, just don't think too long. If any self-admitted federal insurance adjusters walk up to you and start spewing patriot talk, take my advice firmly standing on the record, and beat feet in the opposite direction. See Article 484 on my website and related articles that were published in the days and weeks just prior to the events that led to the Colorado Nine being arrested. And think for yourselves. I would like to issue a writ to NLA for its lack of moral compass, telling lies about already known facts, and for being a vacuous waste of time and money amounting to a fraud scheme to purposefully mislead and co-opt the efforts of Americans who are trying to restore their lawful government. Unfortunately, a writ prohibiting fraud masquerading as incorrigible ignorance and moral turpitude does not exist. Another principal lie being promoted and practiced by the NLA is the myth of the freestanding grand jury, which after a decade, has also produced zero results. Many years ago now I asked John Duresh, the NLA leader, the simple question, how can you have a grand jury without having a court in back of it? Not only did I get no response to my question, I got a hateful screed full of invective in return. It was at that point that I shook my head, shook the dust off my sandals, and never returned to give NLA a second look. It is a given that if an organization's leadership is bad, the organization will be bad. And it is a purposefully misleading, willfully immoral waste of time. The fact is that a grand jury is just a part of a court, like a car's transmission is part of a car. It needs all the other parts of the car to function as a car. Otherwise, you can build all the transmissions you like and they can work just fine, as transmissions, but you still won't be a mile farther down the road, will you? Well, and go figure, again, that is exactly where NLA and the whole grand jury movement stands after a decade of organizing grand juries. Is it credible that people continue to buy into the NLA song and dance, after more than a decade of wheel spinning and overtly illogical activities and non-productive efforts? Are we dealing with true believers or true deceivers here? How is it possible for anyone to believe in NLA when NLA does the things it does and fails, and then also fails to correct its mistakes and fails some more? The Bar Association members must be howling with laughter. They must slap each other on the back and wink and say, well, we could always join the NLA, ha 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 ha. So, if you want to waste your time and money on an organization that has gone nowhere for 10 years and which is still determinedly going nowhere for the next 20, join NLA. If you want to be part of an immoral and irresponsible group led by immoral and irresponsible leaders, join NLA. If you want to look ridiculous to the rest of the world, like a little kid riding a broomstick hobby horse and pretending to be a grand jury without the nicety of building a court to back your grand jury, go ahead. Join the NLA. It's all the same to me, because at the end of the day, the truth is still going to be the truth, and I and those with me will still be safe, though safety is not our prime motive for doing any of this, and we will still be making progress long after NLA is simply a bad taste in the mouth and an ugly image in the rear-view mirror.